Here's what's trending on the Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
Today on What's Trending, we're talking about the church. Now, generations ago, the church was a social, cultural, and missionary hub. In addition to faith reasons, people love going to church because it's a great way to gather together as a community. But since the pandemic, churchgoers are on the decline, and many say that they are not religious, not interested, and have stopped going altogether. So today's question is, do you go to church? Why or why not? We want to hear from you, 866-9-RICKEY. Call me now, 866-9-RICKEY.
Yeah, Ricky, according to a study by the Hartford Institute of Religion Research and a new book entitled Why Nobody Wants to Go to Church Anymore, less than 20% of Americans attend worship services every week. They say there are 4 main reasons why people don't want to go to church. According to the book, 5 reasons people don't want to go to church are: they don't want to be lectured. They see church as judgmental. They see church as hypocritical. They see church as irrelevant. And they say the church is stuck in the old days and boring.
No, it's not. No, that's not. Let me just make a point. That's not true, because I, being 50, I feel isolated because now it's praise and worship. And I actually like the choir. I like to hear the sopranos, the altos, the tenors, and the bass collectively get together with a soloist and sing, or whatever, a little bit of old school, and they doing mostly all contemporary, and they don't reach back to throw members like myself a bone, with some what a friend we have in Jesus. So I don't know about that part, but go ahead, Kay.
Okay, so let's go to a Pew Research Center study that offers something different. A survey of almost 5,000 people tells us why they do attend religious services. Now, here's the top 5 reasons people do go. 1, they feel obligated to go. 2, to please their family, spouse, or partner. 3, to meet new people or socialize. 4, for comfort in times of trouble or sorrow. And 5, to become closer to God.
So I need to know what y'all think. Why aren't people going to church anymore? Gary, I know you go every Sunday.
Yes, mostly every Sunday, and I'm just listening to all this stuff. One of my things is I definitely want to be closer to God, number one, and also I want to, be fed the word. Now, when they were talking about, it's too old, whatever. Now, there's some pastors that preach from the Bible that you just don't understand. Now, with me, the pastors preach where I could understand, because I didn't understand. And my mama used to always tell us that you didn't care what the preacher said, read the Bible for yourself. Well, I do that too sometimes. And I also go for, the choir, the spirit, the singing and stuff. Because, I want to be cleansed, and I love crying. So when I cry, that cleanses me. That gets all that stuff out. Like when I'm driving home from Georgia to Texas or whatever, honey, I have to listen to my gospel music. I listen to my secular music. I listen to all that stuff to get all this stress out of me. So when I get to my destination, honey, I feel revived, and right. Church definitely does it for me, and I love, to see people, and that I hadn't seen in a while. I never get me and my friend Sherelle, them, honey, at my church. I know I'm going along, but at my church in Dallas, honey. After church, honey, after we even heard the word, we would just stand on the stairs at the church, and we would congregate. And gossip, lack of a better word. And it was just so nice, and it's just, it's so nice. And quickly, too, Ricky, one thing, too, about church, but I like, let me tell you something, why I like going to the church that I go to now, Ebenezer. I don't want to go to church, honey, and see your panty lines and your sagging pants. I go to church in the morning where I can see the older people, where you could dress like you're going to church.
We got Bishop Walker on. Bishop Walker is the residing bishop of Full Gospel, Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church, Nashville, Tennessee, my best friend and my fraternity brother. Bishop, what do you think about this? And just break some of this down. And y'all can jump in and ask Bishop Walker any questions you have. Because I know when I go to Mount Zion, what's his name on the organ, who I love, Bishop?
Royce Mosley.
Let me tell you something. Royce, they'll sing something contemporary, but Royce will get on that organ and go and start singing Older Blood, and I'd be toe up in there, like with snot coming out. Like Royce will throw you a bone. Bishop, what are your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I think it's a very good argument on both sides, and I understand both, and I really believe that the research, really, I think, it's important. However, I know in our ministry, we haven't seen a decline, but I think there's some reasons why. And I think you just alluded to one is the fact that there's a lot of balance in ministry. I think it's important that the church understands the ongoing challenge of reaching all generations and to be relevant in doing so. And I think one of the things that's a turnoff for so many people is that we get stuck, into a particular way of doing things that's no longer relevant. And that is unfortunate because often I tell people you really can't have an 8-track ministry in a plug-in generation. You got to be willing to really adapt and to shift. One thing is certain. I think that we have to begin to look at even what we see in how we look at these particular stats. A lot of people think, well, is the church in decline because people are not coming to the building? Sometimes people aren't coming to the building because they are able to actually log on and be online because they found it to be more convenient for them. One of the things I try to do is not stream shame people. There are people that connect with our ministry all around the world globally, and they do it through YouTube. They do it through a variety of other spaces. They find community where they can. And I think it's important that we create an opportunity for people to access the Word of God in a way that's relevant and that allows people to have relationship with Jesus Christ where it's not rules-oriented, but it's relationship-oriented. I think that's one of the key things. Yeah,
Bishop, I have to go to the building when I'm in Birmingham. I have to make my way to Faith Walkers. I got to get in there just in case I need to get on my knees and get before that altar through these troubling times. Whenever, because I tried to watch you online and you were speaking a good word that day, but a pot pie was in the oven. I had to choose. I had to choose. And you was having a good word, but you didn't beat that pot pie. I had to get that pot pie out of the oven. I had to pause. Bishop, I apologize. I never want. Bishop, it was one of them stove for pot pie where you had to stab the top with a fork where it was starting to bubble over in the whole house. Bishop, never mind. We'll talk about that another day.
Bishop, I have a call. I have a question for you, Bishop. One of the reasons that we talked about where people aren't going to church is they feel they're being judged. And I think sometimes there are entitled, ungodly, judgmental members who are in positions of leadership in the church, and they push potential members away. How do you address this as a bishop, and are you addressing it?
Good question.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. I think, it's important to understand the church is not a place where we should judge people. I think we should love people into a relationship. I think one of the worst things you could ever do is to spend your entire messages on thou shalt not, thou shalt not, thou shalt not. That's what we do often, and that pushes people away. But I do think you have to hold people accountable. You have to let people know that it's very important. Just because they say on the package of cigarettes that it could cause cancer, does that mean they're judging you, or they're just telling you, hey, you have free will to smoke cigarettes all day long, but just know it's my responsibility and love to tell you this could cause cancer. And see, that's how you share the love of Jesus Christ. Not saying you need to put those cigarettes down or you're going to die and go to hell. No, just know this could cause cancer. I'm saying it in love, and that's what you have to do. Yeah.
Hey, Bishop, that's why I like my pastor, Pastor Kevin Bryant at Faith Walkers. He don't judge. He talk about how he used to like to go to the casino, and he did a whole sermon. He said, he did a whole sermon on beer. He said, if you drink a case of beer, I got it. He said, but Jesus, if you could get it down to a 6-pack. I had to get up and walk out because I couldn't take it no more. I had to get up and walk out. The whole point of the sermon, Maria, if you can get it down to a 6-pack, why they jump up and start running?
No.
I was done. Let's go to the phones. Good morning.
I do not go to church anymore. I saw the ministry hurt so many people who really needed them. If it wasn't about the money or status, they turned against them. And that really turned me against church.
Yes, I go to church. I was brought up in the church. My life has been made better because of my faith.
Yes, I go to church. And I go to church because I've always gone to church, and that is what has kept me grounded.
I don't go to church because the pastor lives in $1 million house, and the congregation has been going there for 40 years, can't pay any bills.
Yes, I go to church because I'm a Christian. I believe in God.
No, I do not go to church because I work every Sunday through Thursday. I do not go to church because there's too many hypocrites in the church.
I do go to church, but I'm not 36. Big Mama is 36, and she don't know she needs Jesus, so she can't teach the kids about it.
I go to church, but church has turned into a business. It's about money and sense and not saving souls.
Well, the reason I don't go to church anymore is because there's a lot of mess going on. You know, people dating, doing all kinds of stuff in the church.
after hour stuff at the post. I'm not into all that. So I just keep it clean and keep it moving.
No, I don't go to church no more because I am the church and because I found out that Jesus is not real. Letter J wasn't created to 1524.
No, I don't go to church because I've realized that it was a social construct started by Constantine and his mother. And all this stuff is, profit, motive, money driven.
People are turning away from the church because they're going to worship these pastors and not God. They need to worship God and not these pastors. These pastors are man. They're disappointing people, and people are turning away from the religion. I just started my own.
Listen. We got a lot of calls. Listen, Bishop. Can you do I know you're on vacation. Can you do a Facebook Live today and let people answer their questions with their frustration? Because our goal on this morning show is to bring people closer to God, because I believe that God is real and God is awesome, and all pastors are not bad pastors. All churches are not bad churches. And I've gotten a lot. I wouldn't be where I am if it was not for good ministries in my life. Bishop, let everybody know, if you could do a 15-minute, just go in a room and do a 15 or 20-minute live today. Let everybody know how they can follow you and how they can watch your live.
Yeah, I want y'all to do it. I'm going to do it today. I want y'all to follow me on Instagram at Joseph Walker 3. That's Joseph Walker, the number 3. And make sure you get that notification because I'm going to go live and I'm going to do it on my IG Live today. And I want you guys to make sure you follow me. We're gonna help you understand. Stop generalizing the church. Just because you had a bad experience doesn't mean that it's every single church. The church is the only thing that gets generalized like that. You go to have a bad experience at a party, and you're right back the next week. You have a bad experience at a football game, you're right back the next week. The reality is, sometimes we give the church a bad rap because we're trying to live our own lives in our own spaces. I believe that God created the church as a community for us to draw strength from one another. And yes, Ricky, being in the building does matter. It matters. We go where we want to go. You can drive your car all day long, and nobody tells you got to take your car to the shop, but trust me, when those indicator lights come up, it's letting you know you take your car to go get looked at. And sometimes the Holy Spirit will tell you, you could go to church to have your hood looked at so you can get a word to help you make the journey of life a lot better. Check me out, Joseph Walker 3 on IG.
All right, y'all, more Rick's Smiley Morning Show coming up. My heart just ain't in the right place right now. I understand everybody's frustration with the church. Now, I'm going to say this without getting emotional because, first of all, let me say God is good all the time, okay? And I don't want to ever come on this radio in a segment feel like we attack God's institution. Now, you might not like the church. I'm out of breath because I had to run there and get some water right quick. You might not like the church, like the pastor, like a lot of stuff that go on in the church because, like Bishop Walker said, it's bad people everywhere. But don't forget now, while we're attacking the church, that when Big Mama died, who was there? When you got ready to get married, who go in there and turn them lights on? And the folks in the church that don't make no money to volunteer. I done fell out. I done had church hurt too. I done fell out with my former pastor and whatever. And we went through it. And the minute my granddaddy died, that's the first person that was there. Then he turned around and was there for me. My step-dad funeral when he died. My sister's dad, which I consider my dad. And then baptized my son and funeralized him when he died and baptized him a month before he died. And then they came out and ushered and bought food and did this and did that. And I'm going to tell you now, it's way more good than bad. Now, we don't want to discourage anybody because I'm telling you, I wouldn't have made it through. I can't tell you how many times I done got on my knees and went up to that altar and cried out to God. And God fixed I'm getting emotional because it's some good people in the church. I wonder if pastor or whoever make their money, a lot of these pastors got degrees and got their own separate business that was not built off the church. Most of these churches has a deacon board and a trustee board, and yeah, it is a business. But churches be paying light bills, water bills. I done been out with my pastor feeding the homeless. Out there giving away sandwich in the middle of the projects where they're shooting and selling drugs, giving away lunches for the kids in the summer at my church in Faith Walkers. Pastor Walter Solomon is in Kenya right now with money that we raised all year and on the ground doing work, doing good work to make sure that the girls' school that we've been sponsoring for the past 10 years get the internet and get things that they need. It's some good folks in the church, man. And we can't ever turn away from God. Now, whatever gripes you got or whatever, if it don't work for you at that church, man, you can go to another church or just find your own relationship with God. If you don't want to go to church, that's fine. But God is real. And he woke us up this morning, and I never don't want God to punish me for using this platform to get people away from him, because God gave me this to bring people closer to him. And I'm not mad at nobody for their opinion and their experience. But what I'm saying is, man, don't give up on these folks, man. Even my folks at my home church, First Baptist Kingston, I can go there anytime and feel comfortable. If I want to hear some good old-fashioned singing, and I can go right on back over there to my church at Faith Walkers, get a good word and some laugh from Pastor Kevin Bryant. I can go over to Reverend John King Church, E. Dewey Smith in Atlanta, our Greatest Travelers Rest, Dr. Davidson in Fort Lauderdale. I'm talking about people out here doing stuff and doing real ministry. You understand, pastors? I know pastors all over the country. I just performed at a church in Detroit for a pastor's anniversary. Man, there's some good people out here doing some real work in some real community service. Pastor John P. Key built a church on the same corner that he used to sell dope on in Charlotte. And look at the things that he's doing in the community. So let's not, because that's right. If they get to fighting in the club and put your whole life at risk and you go back. We go back to other situations, but sometimes when they come to the church, we want to act like they weren't there for you when Big Mama died. When the ushers up there, when you out there crying, your eyes out, somebody handed you some tissue. Somebody was standing there fanning you when they closed that casket now. So let's not do that. I appreciate your opinion. But man, we ain't going to turn on God. We do a praise break on this show every morning. If I don't love nothing else and nobody else on this God, because man, we'll do the segment later. It was God. It was him that walked me down that hallway when I was in that apartment by myself when they told me my son died. It was God that walked me down that hall to get me to the elevator. It was God that got me from the elevator to the car. I had to ask a Dallas police officer, hey man, how do I get to my gate? As many times I've been in Love Field Airport, that gate is simple. It's 1 through 30. Had to walk down there with me because I was so confused. And it was God that got me there safe because it was a storm flying back to Birmingham. Man, I'll never turn on God. Because he's so real, and he's been better to me than I've been to myself. You understand? I am closer to him now than I ever been. I have seen his goodness through these trials and tribulations. Then he let me look at other folks that's going through stuff. He give me some perspectives and some windows to look out of. Man, God is real. Can't nobody teach you this stuff. He rocked me to sleep every single night. Keep me with an appetite. Keep me living. Other folks that went through stuff. But let's not turn our back on the church. Find another church if that church don't work out for you. But these ministers out here making a hard push for God. And they out here doing some great and wonderful things out here in the community. So I love you. God bless you. We got Jeff Johnson coming up next. Song Stay in Your Head All Day. Up next, Rickey Smiley Morning Show.
The Rickey Smiley Morning Show, baby.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to